Okay, what's up, y'all? My name is Coach JS, or JsMethod, or Jamie, as you guys may know me as. And today I want to talk about when should you forfeit in League. And now this is a response to a conversation I've been having over on TikTok with a TikToker and content creator named ProjectVarsity. And his theory is that you should never surrender, ever, no matter what. And my theory is, well, actually, I think there is room to surrender. I'm going to tell you guys when you should surrender and when you shouldn't. Right, so first what I want to lead with is ProjectVarsity points and who ProjectVarsity is. Now, ProjectVarsity is a TikToker and League player who is trying to teach life and leadership lessons through League of Legends. And it's a phenomenal mission, it's a phenomenal goal, and it's actually something that I view myself as doing a little bit too, because, I coach a lot of high school kids and college kids, and being really good at League, there are a lot of things that you can take out of League and you can, extrapolate out of it and put it onto other things, right? Being very, very good at League can make you a very good competitor, and it can teach you a lot of very, very valuable soft skills. So this is something that I really resonate with, and I love this as a coach. So perfect message. And I really recommend you guys go and watch his TikToks. Now, he made 2 videos that I responded to, and he made a video in response to mine. And you guys should go watch them to get the full context and to hear him say it in his words and his narrative, which is valuable. And all of those links will be in the description, so go check them out. But to sum it up, these are how I understood his point. So his first point is, in terms of optimizing LP gain over time, so like LP gain per hour or whatever, forfeiting is not efficient. It's inefficient to FF if you're trying to win and get LP. His second point is not giving up, or like perseverance, is an incredibly powerful mental weapon or mental tool, right? And people who aren't persistent and who give up all the time and call the persistent people hostage takers are really, really toxic, and they should stop doing it. His third point is, even if you should FF, right? And let's say let's just assume there are situations where you can FF and it is optimal. It's hard to tell in the moment. And it's really easy for people to over rationalize. So even if there is an optimal time to FF, people will over FF because people want the easy way out, whatever it is. And then his last point is, you actually want to prioritize learning the greater set of the games, not just the individual game of League itself. So this point is my favorite point, and I'm going to get into a little bit more what this means at the end. But these are how I understood his videos and his points. Now I'm going to do my take, and then I'm going to respond to every single one of his points. So first things first, what is my stance, my take on forfeiting? So the first thing to understand, so I'm a coach, and I'm a very input approach type of coach, where I think you should take absolute control, absolute responsibility for you and what you do and your statistics and everything you do. Take control of it. Now, I also believe that your input is mostly decided in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the game. And I actually tell people, if you're not ahead in gold, and this is for mid lane, because I predominantly coach mid, but I tell mid laners, if you're not ahead in gold at 10 minutes and at 15 minutes by a good amount for the champion you're playing, then you need to spend 80% of the games. So if you're not ahead in gold at 10 minutes and at 15 minutes, 8 out of 10 games, then you need to work on lane phase. End of story, right? Like, there's just nothing else really makes sense. So this is kind of how I approach the game. So since I approach the game like this, and 20% of the value or so, or there's not quite as much to learn in the mid and late game, it makes sense why there are some games where you can FF at 15 and just kind of get more value, and you can learn a lot more if you FF at 15. So this is kind of the basis of why I think there are some valuable times where you can FF. And I actually think, opening games, right? You don't usually see people open games in the majority of games, but if you watch, especially like Korea, or if you watch, sometimes like Masters Plus games, you'll see people open games. And what that means is at like 10 minutes, everybody will just type open mid, and everybody will just AFK and let them come take the game, and they'll go next, right? That's something that I actually agree with, right? And it's something that you see in Korea, and it's some things that you see in the East that has the highest quality of players and the highest quality of solo queue. And it makes sense because if you already got all the value out of the game, why are you going to waste energy? Why are you going to waste your playtime on things that don't matter? So that's the basis of why I think early FFs make a little bit of sense. So if I'm playing to learn, that means if I'm practicing and I'm on my main account and I'm in my right elo, I will forfeit 15 any game my team wants to. I don't care if we're winning. I don't care if we're losing. I don't care if we're even. Because if my entire team wants to FF, it's a good indicator that they already mentally gave up. So they're going to have lower value in the mid game, which means my input means even less because it's going to be kind of, soaked up by them not trying at all. And I already learned the majority of the things I'm going to learn that game. So I can just go into a new game and learn more, and I can optimize the amount of learning in that time. So pretty much if my entire team wants to 15, I will also 15. If my team wants to open at 8 minutes, I will open as well. If the other 4 players that aren't me also want to go do that thing. Now, what's very, very clear is, or what I think needs to be very clear is, if your teammates don't want to surrender, you do not surrender and you do not give up. Like, this is something I think, the majority of players can agree on. Do not call people hostage takers. Do not blame people for not FFing. Don't blame people for, wanting to play it out. If your teammates want to play it out, play it out. There are still things to learn from it. It's valuable. The persistence is valuable. I agree with a lot of the mental points ProjectVarsity has. But if they're all going to not play the game anyways, then I'm okay with going and learning with my time rather than sticking it out and making myself stay in a toxic environment, right? So I will FF 15 or I will open games, any game my teams want to, when I'm practicing. Now, I never FF past 20. Never. I will always hit no past 20. And I never FF if I'm trying to win. So if my goal isn't to learn, my goal is not to practice, then and like I'm boosting an account, or I'm taking another account up to masters, or I'm trying to hit a new peak rank, peak LP, then I'll never FF. So like that is when I FF. That is what I believe, and this is what I personally do. I also think they should just remove FF votes, because I think it's really toxic. People get into the habit. They think that they can just leave games that don't go their way. So people start to just, they FF all the time, or they mentally give up too early. So if they removed FF votes, this would lead to people, they wouldn't give up as much, and there would be less enters, or more opens would happen, which means games would end even faster and you can get more value out of it and you wouldn't have to stay as long in that environment. Either way, it's a good thing. So personally, I think they should remove FF votes, but as long as they're in the game, I will choose to FF at 15 if my team wants to, and I will open if my team wants to. Past 20, or if I'm trying to win, I'll never FF. Okay, so that is my take. Now, let's dive into talking about ProjectVarsity's points and why I disagree with them and what I think is valuable. So his first point, now this is something that I already iterated in a TikTok video, so if you've seen that, you can skip this point. But ProjectVarsity's point was, if you're trying to play for LP, forfeiting is inefficient. He did some math. If you want to see him talk about the math and talk about these things, head over to his TikTok. Again, link to the video, link to the TikTok, everything will be in the description. So he's saying FFing is not efficient unless there is a 0.5, a 0.5% chance of winning. Right? That's 1 in 200 games. So if you think you play this situation out 200 times and you win one of them, then you shouldn't have one or more, then you shouldn't FF. If it's less than that, then you can FF, and that makes sense. So in terms of the math, right, and if you're trying to play to win, FFing is LP inefficient. Now, my argument is, sure, it is LP inefficient to FF, and you should try to win the games if you're trying to win the games. However, when we're trying to improve, we're not necessarily trying to win the games. We're trying to improve at the game, which is different. The goal should not be LP. The goal should be learning. And 80% of the learning happens in the first 10 to 15 minutes, in my opinion. So, and that's regardless of circumstance. Another point that ProjectVarsity had was, circumstantially, people will gain value at different points of the game, and that's true, but it's a lot less true than Project Varsity is saying. Because, you know, his argument was, I play a scaling jungler, so the first 15 minutes are a lot less valuable to me than they would be to like an early game jungler, like a Rek'Sai or an Elite. But if you're playing Hecarim or Shyvana or, you know, Karthus or input any other scaling jungler, and you play the first 15 minutes perfect, then you should be able to carry and win that game pretty much no matter what, right? So all of the learning comes from the first 15 minutes, right? Another way of saying this is the root of the problems are earlier than the symptoms of the problem. So a lot of people will show me they'll show me a Baron fight at 30 minutes into like this really long game, and they'll be like, oh man, I lost the game because of this Baron fight. How can we stop this coin flip? And it's like, no, you did not lose the game because of that Baron fight. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of decisions that had to happen for you to get to that Baron fight, right? I draw like a decision tree, right? To illustrate this concept. You had to make so many decisions to end up in this coin flip decision, and you're like, well, we didn't win the coin flip. How could we have won the coin flip? And it's like, this isn't the problem that you took this coin flip. The problem is here. You put yourself in that situation where you had to take the coin flip. Go back to the lane phase. Why were you not ahead in lane phase? Because you could have been. Or why, like, what happened that allowed them to get a lead? Or, you know, how did they set up for this that forced a coin flip, right? So when you're looking at problems that happen 20, 30, 45 minutes into a game, chances are that is the result of people messing up way, way earlier in the game. Getting better at the game is typically just recognizing cues earlier, right? Because, or noticing like patterns way, way earlier. There's always some like, here, let me think of an example. Let's say you get ganked, right? A better player will see the cues for that gank. They'll think, okay, their jungler's pathing to this side and I don't have any vision and I'm a little bit too far pushed up. Well, a bad player is going to say, I have to step up with my wave so there's no way to avoid me getting ganked. But if you would have realized you weren't going to have vision while the wave was pushing out, you would have done something 3 waves earlier, right? You would have done something 3 minutes earlier. You would go back in time to a point where you can see the stimuli, you can see the thing that is happening that will show you the pattern, and you can decide to do something else, right? So that was kind of convoluted, but the point is, whenever you have a problem you're looking at a situation that feels bad, you're looking at a situation that makes you think this is why you lost the game. The real problem was earlier than that. It was the setup to that. It was, what could you have done to be in a situation where you could not have lost, right? That's the goal in League of Legends. We're trying to put ourselves in win-win situations, right? We're trying to put ourselves in a situation where no matter what you do, you lose, so I get to win, right? That's like ideal. So if you're showing me something that happened past 15 minutes and it looks unavoidable, it probably was because of decisions you made in the early game. So it's like, it doesn't even matter. So despite circumstance, despite what you're playing, doesn't really matter if you're playing a scaling jungler, it doesn't matter if you're playing Elise or Hecarim, or if you're playing Veigar mid, or if you're playing, I don't know, Lucian mid. Have a perfect first 15 minutes, have a perfect opener, and that will help an incredible amount. And that's actually something that I'll encourage you to do, Project Varsity, in your games. When you are reviewing or you're wondering why you lost a certain game, ask what went wrong in the first 15 minutes, because that's the start of the domino effect. So this is really, really powerful. I think, I think that this was kind of underappreciated, how valuable these first 15 minutes are. So that's my point. The first 15 minutes are the most valuable, and the goal shouldn't be LP if we're playing on our main account, right? The goal should be learning and getting value. Okay, Project Varsity's second point is not giving up is powerful. And I actually agree with this. Perseverance and persistence is an incredibly powerful mental tool for you to learn, right? And this can teach you a multitude of lessons. And it can help you in League. It can help you in life, right? Because what does it take to persevere? It takes discipline. It takes emotional control. It takes all of these things that are incredibly important in developing in League and in developing in other domains in life. So this can be powerful, and there are some situations where you can't give up, right? I played collegiate for a while, and you don't get to surrender collegiate game, right? So there would be games that look like pretty much lost, and because the goal is winning in a collegiate game, right? If you're playing on stage and you're playing for money and there's scholarship money on the line, like, you don't get to give up there. So you have to learn how to not give up somewhere. So this is an exercise you can do to definitely learn that skill. However, sometimes in life, giving up is optimal. Learning how to let go of things is also a skill that is valuable. Sometimes giving up is optimal. So I think the most common examples of this are like the sunk cost fallacy, peer pressure, these kind of things. So, and since we're League of Legends players, let's talk about League. I'm sure we all know, and it's very common, that people play League for the wrong reasons, and they end up having a very toxic relationship with League. Now, I put up my account here. You can see my account. It goes back all the way back to season 1. I've been playing since like 12 years, ever since I was like a little kid with my dad. I have thousands and thousands of hours, tens of thousands of games, I'm sure. I spent $500 on my account, which, by the way, is incredibly low for have been playing for 12 years. But I spent 500. So I spent all of this time, all of these resources into League of Legends. But the second that League of Legends becomes a toxic thing for me, and I use it as an escape, and I'm no longer learning from it, I'm not learning to compete, I'm not learning, emotional skills, I'm not learning discipline, I'm not getting better, I'm not using it in a healthy way, then I should quit, right? When real life happens, if I get a real job and, and I have a family and all these things, I will have to put League down sometimes. There are a lot of people who don't put League down because of these reasons, right? Because they spent so much time, because they spent so much money, and they end up having a really toxic relationship with League, where they use it to escape, and then they just spam games, and they learn nothing, and they develop toxic narratives, and they do these things where they end up being really damaging to their own mental, right? So sometimes the correct play is to give up. The correct play is to let go of the game, because sometimes that's necessary, right? Another example, my girlfriend actually mentioned this one. If you're in a toxic relationship with somebody, like, sometimes you have to let that person go, even though you may not want to. If that person is not actively, if you guys aren't actively helping each other, be good for each other and are building each other up, then, and you guys are actually harming each other, you need to take yourself out of that environment, right? Sometimes giving up is optimal. Now, not always. I think both of these skills are necessary. You have to have persistence, but you also have to know how to let things go. So don't think that giving up is not a skill in of itself, right? Tactically retreating, right? Like, these are things that are important. These are valuable skills. Okay, the third point that Project Varsity had was that people may over-rationalize. If you tell people that they can FF at certain points now, then they're going to start FFing all the time because it's the easy route, and they're going to over-rationalize, whatever. So to me, this was a little bit of a slippery slope argument. I'm saying there are very specific times where you should surrender, and where, like, surrendering an opening makes sense. Thinking that you can tell people that and then they're going to FF all of the time, that feels like a slippery slope fallacy to me. But my point is, like, yeah, this is why we need very clear restraints, right? I think it's okay to FF at 15 if the goal is not to win, right? And this is something I already mentioned. And I don't want to be misconstrued, right? I'm not saying you guys should FF all of the time, because FFing is stupid most of the time, right? Most of your teammates in most of your games are not going to want to FF at 15. So even if all 4 of your teammates, or even if you're okay with FFing when all 4 of your teammates want to FF at 15, you're still only going to end up FFing 15, like, I don't know, 1 out of 20, 1 out of 30 games. Like, it's a very, very low number. So FFing is stupid the vast majority of the time, and people do over-surrender. My argument is there is a particular use case where I will FF at 15, or I will open the game, because I think it's a waste of time, right? So this felt like a little bit of a slippery slope. Maybe I misunderstood this, and Project Varsity can shed some more light on what he meant by this point in the comments or by another video. But yeah, I don't think that's really fair. Okay, the last point. This is my favorite point. I'm really excited to talk about this. So Project Varsity said, when we're playing League, you want to play League in a way that you also learn things that applied outside of League. So when we're practicing League and we're getting good at this video game, you want to take the things you learn and be able to apply them to different things in life, right? And I absolutely agree. 100%. This idea is phenomenal. I love it. I simply disagree with the execution. So let me do a little bit of drawing here. I'm going to do a little bit of a visualization. So let's view League as a whole domain as this circle, right? And this circle is League. And then there's like other games, right? There's, let's just say like this is Dota. It's kind of similar. This is chess. And then like as we get more far removed, we have other things in life, like maybe this is basketball, and then maybe down here we have like business life, management skills, leadership skills, whatever. There's just other things, right? And we can draw a big circle around this and say like this big circle, all of these things are within. So this is the overarching domain of competitions, right? Set of competition. So Project Varsity says when you're playing League, play it in a way that you're acknowledging the greater set of games so you can kind of pick up other things easier and apply those lessons easier. Good. It's a good idea. But my theory is if you can play this game and focus on this game as hard as you can, and you can climb this ladder, and you can reach Diamond, or you can reach Masters in League of Legends, or you can reach Challenge in League of Legends in this ladder, that creates a framework that you can put onto these other games, and you can climb in that as well. So here, I actually wrote down a little hypothesis here. So I believe optimizing a specific domain, right, one circle, as much as possible within the constraints of that domain, right? So like you're doing it within the rules of the game, and forfeiting is a rule within League, so I think it can be used. I think it's fair to say that. Will build the framework that you can mask onto other domains, right? So if you can reach Diamond in League, I think you have the framework to reach Diamond in other things much quicker and much more efficiently. And I believe that this is more efficient than trying to learn the set of domains through one thing, right? So I think if you want to learn, let's say you want to learn 3 games, I think the fastest way for you to do that is go into one of them, get as high level as fast as possible as you can, doing whatever you can, winning however you can in that thing, and then taking that framework of knowledge you learned and putting it on the other things. Now, what I believe Project Varsity is saying is you should play all 3, and while you're playing the 3, keep in mind how this applies to all the other things. Now, I think that's incredibly difficult to do, and I think you should just focus on winning this thing right now. Now, I have a little bit of an anecdote with this. My last couple years of high school, I was trying to decide what to do, and I was a top-level table tennis junior in my state, and I was playing League of Legends, and I had pretty good grades, and I was thinking about college applications and doing all these things, and I was just starting to stream League. I was like in platinum at the time, and I kept telling my dad, well, I noticed a trend because I started in gold and I went to platinum, and I noticed a trend, like as I was getting better at League, I was getting equally better at table tennis, and I was able to do other things in my life. And I started telling my dad, I was like, Dad, if I can hit Diamond in League, I think I can hit Diamond in life, right? If I can hit the top 1% of this domain, I think I can hit the top 1% of any domain I touch. And then I'm playing League and whatever. And one night I end up climbing to Diamond. It was actually like a week, I think. I went from like Platinum 4 to Diamond 4 in a week. Something just clicked. And in that month, I had some very explosive growth that matched my League growth. right? And so my table tennis rating shot up at around the same time and skill level. And around this time, I was taking my ACT, which is the college like entrance exams, and I was studying for it, and I was thinking about applying to colleges. And it was crazy to me because I had all these friends who were studying really hard to get these really high scores on these tests, and I was looking at the other things colleges look at. And colleges, and I'm not sure if you guys don't know, like the very top level of colleges need you to have really high test scores, need you to have really high grades, and have a lot of experience and a lot of extracurriculars. And what I realized was good test scores was not enough. You needed to have diamond level test scores and be diamond in other domains, because that's what the colleges are looking for. They're looking for somebody who has the framework to become diamond in whatever domain they touch, right? And I realized when I hit diamond in League that I've kind of built that framework up, and anything I have touched since then, I feel very confident I can at least replicate that climb more efficiently now, right? And I can reach that level in most things, I believe. So I really agree with the idea that you learn a lot through life and a lot through competitions through playing a game, but I disagree with Project Varsity's idea. I think you should play the game for the game itself and then use that framework and map it onto other things. One spot where this gets tricky is like ideas with like cheating and stuff. So we teach our kids and we teach people not to cheat, because if you cheat, I would consider that playing the game outside of the constraints, right? Because if you cheat in the game, then like nobody's going to want to practice with you, and you may win the game right now, but it doesn't actually help you build up the framework for other domains because you didn't play the game within the constraint. But forfeiting in League is not cheating because it is a built-in constraint to the game, so it is a part of the game, and I think you can actually utilize that to create that framework to climb higher. So I think this point was kind of convoluted, but I think it was also really, really interesting, and I was excited to talk about it. Definitely let me know what you guys think. Project Varsity, I would love to hear more from you. I'd love to hear a video. And again, if you guys made it this far in the video, go check out Project Varsity's TikToks and his content. They're super valuable. They're League content that's also like self-help content. It's very, very powerful, very, very, a very good thing. So make sure you guys go check that out. I appreciate you guys watching it. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing me talk about forfeiting and kind of having this conversation with Project Varsity. If you guys want to check me out on Twitch, make sure you guys do that. It's twitch.tv/JsMethod. Same thing on TikTok. I drop daily TikToks and we do kind of like bi-daily streams. It depends on the week, but go check that out. I stream Master Solo Queue. I answer questions over there. I also do coaching, so check the description for links to that. I appreciate you guys watching the video. You guys have a blessed night. I'll see you next time. Peace.